Welcome to the Spirit and Soul Healing Podcast, where we speak about all things related to spirituality, soul level healing, intuitive guidance, frequencies, and much more. I'm Amy Sikarskie, licensed vocational nurse, past life hypnotherapist, master intuitive energy healer, and a clairvoyant physical channel. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Spirit School Online, where we offer courses in energy therapy, free guided meditations, courses and information around learning to connect in with your spirit guides, and much more. You can find me at amysikarskie.com and offerings at spiritschoolonline.com. Hi everybody, this is Amy Sikarskie and welcome to the Spirit and Soul Healing Podcast. I'm so happy today we have Brittini back on. She's joining us again for updates from her healing session, which was episode 24 of the podcast and the second episode in our energy healing series. So welcome back, Brittini. So nice to have you.
I'm happy to be back. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And we just visited a little bit about not your session, but just life in general. So I'm feeling all this positive energy coming through. Yet I'm very aware that we might be, switching gears as far as I'm wondering how the healing went because there's this frequency coming in right now. I don't know if I'm accurate on it, but it feels like a deep healing that might have had some emotions come through. I don't know. Can you share? We're just jumping right in because I can sense it.
Yes. It was interesting because, we talked about relationships and, change. And I've been thinking on and off about it, not trying to get too wrapped up in it and just letting things flow and surrender to whatever may happen. But it's interesting that you say that because I went on a walk this morning and I re-listened to the podcast to see what, may come up. And, it's really interesting because we were talking about the relationship piece. And I'm just wondering if I've been thinking a lot about this before we did the podcast, but releasing or showing who I truly am may end certain relationships, possibly. So it's kind of ending a relationship with myself or a rebirth of myself and what will come out of that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, I can feel it, girl. It's deep.
It's interesting because I've been feeling that before the podcast. If I do this or if I go this direction, how will that change my relationships with other people and how will they look at me? Or so it's, I went through this whole process releasing fear starting in 2020, and I feel like I've done such a good job and have come so far with that, but I realized this morning that there's still that piece of fear that I still need to release when it has to do with showing more of my truth.
Yeah. And I can feel it. It's beautiful because I feel like it's healing. I feel like it's going to come up, and it is right now, for some transmutation because I can see the energy around your heart and I want to cry. It's like one of those releases of crying. Yeah, it's a beautiful cry because, it's a healing cry. It's a deep cry. It's like, oh man, so many emotions in it. And we can put any word to it that we want. But the frequency is really clearing and it's this realization, and I am hearing a rebirth, but this rebirth to me, as I look at it within you, feels like it's kind of this separation that's tearing a little bit, like your past is tearing. It's not a quick, easy release. It's not clean in that you're feeling it because a part of you is, yeah, I'm ready to let go. And then there's the unknown of what that means for the future. And then I see parts of within you that's like, am I ready to let go of all of it? Like, what in the world? What does that mean? I say I'm ready to let go, but really, what does that mean? Am I? And so
Right.
there's this like questioning, and it's an experience. And Archangel Metatron's here, Raphael, Ariel, Zadkiel, and Jeremiel, 5. And Metatron is just saying, like, love, 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 love. Shine the love to the energy, and that will let it release. So that's a part of every aspect. You, the others involved, that dynamic that was created. So the Brittini that they know, we give love and gratitude and thank you for that. What it reminds me of is when we have life reviews at the end of our life, and we look and we see who we were, the roles that we played in other people's lives. And then you know the true essence of your soul. So here you're reclaiming, or you're energizing and amplifying that energy of who your soul is. And you're letting go of those characters that you were playing for others. And
Right.
so within that, there can be a lot of emotion, is what I'm seeing. And while the emotion was coming up at the heart, I also saw, it was related to the sacral solar plexus region, which is your relationships and your intimate and your outer world relationships. So, wow, yeah, what you're sharing is huge. And I think probably many of us can recognize some aspect of that in our life with these. I mean, the last 2 years have just given us so many opportunities for transition and inner reflection and feeling who we are. And I understand because, like, so I've moved a lot, and when you move you kind of get a restart.
Hmm.
You're like,
That's
okay,
true. Yeah.
like, I love my friends, but we kind of say our goodbye. I'm not going to be there physically. We still talk, some of us, like, um, through phone and social and all of that, but you get this moment to reinvent yourself. It's like a fresh start where you don't really have to worry about who you're letting down.
Right.
And so it feels like there might be a part of that in there. Um, does that accurately describe, or?
Right. I mean, everything you said was spot on. It's exactly how I'm feeling, and it's just this transition of um, just trying to figure that out for myself and where to go forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and knowing, trying to know like what the next step is and if it's the right thing to do. And
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, absolutely, everything you said just completely resonated with how
Okay.
I'm feeling and how I have been feeling because, as you know, like my perspective has changed a lot in the last couple of years. And I feel like my heart has opened and I feel like I do have more to offer in a different way. But
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how that will be perceived by people like family and friends.
Yeah, absolutely. They show me two things, two aspects here. Like, the first is releasing who you were, or that character that you're playing, the role. Well, they're saying it's more a character because you can still have the same role as friend, sister, you know, whatever,
Right.
mentor, cousin, daughter. But your character can change in who you are and how you show up in their life. And so there's that aspect. And I feel like you're working through that. And then it's like, I feel like I'm on a teeter totter where I go up and down, like
Mm-hmm.
one side and then the other side. And the second part is what you just shared, what they're talking about now, about what does that mean for the future? And so, how am I going to redefine or reinvent myself in that way? And to that, there's this part where I could see your pillar of light, your soul light, so strong, bright, clear, and you're like, I know who I am. This is me, yeah? And then it's like, how do I want to interact with others? In what way? So Metatron is saying, we could say like the whole phrase of baby steps, one step at a time. But he's saying you're not even quite there yet. It's more like a pause and an observance of the different options that you have. And so it feels like you're in that contemplative transitional state where you can look at the options and you might have selected, because I feel one feels really strong. So you might have already kind of selected that. Um, at the same time, you're in this like holding space, planning, but also still letting go of healing the past. So quality and clarity of care is what I'm hearing with those that are in your life. Just sharing with them, hey, I'm going to try something new, or, I've got this new thing going on. And, however it comes up in conversation, kind of a little heads up so it doesn't just catch them off guard will
Right.
be a nice way of it. Vocalizing our truth is really important right now so people don't get left feeling confused and
Right.
then wondering if it's something personal. So if you say, hey, I'm doing this new project, or I'm studying something new, or I'm going to start a new hobby, whatever, however the conversation goes, then they'll notice that when you change a little bit, that, oh, well, she's just going through her next phase. We're always learning and growing and expanding. So
Right.
that's one part of it. But Metatron is sharing with me, like, you have so many options moving forward. I even see 5 different areas to focus on, or 5, paths and elements.
Wow.
So, what has come up for you? Whatever you feel like sharing, if there's something specific you want me to tune in for, I don't mind at all. I mean, your your team is right here.
Well, when you say those 5 different paths, can you share what you see there or?
Well, I can read them. I haven't yet. I
Okay.
just see the energy of. So the first they're showing is with your family, with your children. As you reinvent yourself, who is this? And it's really funny because our daughter came home from university a few months ago. And, I've made some changes in my life. And she's like, is this my mom? Are you kidding? And I'm like, yeah, welcome to the me that you didn't know. And I think, like, just so our listeners and for you, it was like the one thing was I got a system in my car, a sound audio system. And, I'm like, I love the 808s and listening to music she never heard me listen to because as a child, I didn't feel like it was appropriate for children. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, if you would have met me in high school, a whole different story. So, so expanding into more of what really brings me joy that my child didn't see, and now she's an adult, I can share with her, right? So what they're sharing is like your kids might look at you like, whoa, who are you?
Mhm.
And it can be anything, any of these gifts or skills or things that bring you joy that you're starting to bring into your life. Next up is your home space. That's going to be something they're seeing when they come visit, or those that, your family that live with you as you redecorate. Like, wait a minute, what, this room has totally been transformed. What's happening here?
That's so true because I do love decorating
And
and it
it's
has changed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's beautiful. It's an outer expression and it holds the energy of who you are. And they're saying that this is a beautiful opportunity to speak to your family, as your kids are growing, that, hey, we go through stages in life. I mean, if we were to stay the same person with the same everything, how boring is that? What's the purpose of life if I'm going to eat the same meal every day, wear
Right.
the same outfit, So you just activate, you're bringing in energy. Um, so the first thing that they show was the family and how they look at you. And that's one area for you to figure out the adjustments that you want to make. To me, it doesn't look challenging. It's just a conversation and they're naturally seeing it occur, right?
Right. Yeah. We're
So,
very open with our kids. So, yeah.
yeah, that's beautiful. So now that that is going through like that transitionary part and they're aware and it's not shocking, then it's kind of like further in the distance, what will your relationships be with your children as they grow and as they're adults? What will the dynamics look like? And so that's one area that you're contemplating, at least in your energy field. I see it come up. I don't know if you've
Right.
had deep thoughts yet.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting that you're saying all this because I had this conversation. We were talking before we started that my son went to Sweden, and I had this conversation. I sat in his room. I was sitting at his chair, and he was telling me how, we raised our kids. We're not any like part of any religion. And so we never said what we don't believe in or what we believe
Mm,
in. We just kind of left it open. Um, and so now that we're going through this transition of an awakening is what we like to call it, a
yeah.
spiritual awakening, and we're talking about things more. He told me that he was feeling frustrated because he didn't know how to take it. So he was, I think he was having a hard time seeing us differently.
Mm-hmm.
He had this idea of who we were as his parents, and we have grown. And I said that exact thing that you said. I said, you know, we are always on this journey, like a journey. We are always evolving and learning. And it's important to look at all perspectives. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you're always going to keep learning and changing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very thankful for that conversation. He thanked me and he understood perfectly. So, but I thanked him for telling me because I didn't want him holding on to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that the kids are all feeling that. They're trying to figure out who we are because they had this idea of who we were.
Yeah.
So I think that's why that is coming up. It makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Oh, I love that you had that conversation. It's really it's really beautiful to be able to speak so openly and to be able to know that to have that experience where he can speak and come to you feeling comfortable and safe with it. So, yeah, we are all everybody's changing and growing, and especially as our children go through their stages of life, it in some kind of way opens a space for us to flow to the next of our stage. For our listeners, I was also sharing that our son just went to university this past weekend, and so I didn't really know emotionally how I would feel, but I looked at my husband. We kind of looked at each other. We're like, "This is interesting. We're quote empty nesters now." That whole thing, and it's like, wow, this vibration just came in of like this freedom and joy because I'm happy for both of our children. We both are so happy. And we looked at each other and we're like, this is kind of like when we first met, like how we feel in our time together. So, all these different stages in life happen. And I honestly didn't know how I would feel or how the emotions and what should I expect. So, also being present in that moment and the fact that your son can just share with you. So, here it's like all of these chapters of life. And what I'm hearing is the quality of care that is given. So, in that conversation, the quality of care and the space that you held as you're listening, that's what's important. Like, we might pull in new aspects of ourselves or things we do for hobbies or what we love, but our soul essence, the integrity, the quality of who we are, that quality of care remains the same. And so that's so pretty. But yeah, so that's one of the big things in your life of the five.
Okay.
It's like, whoa, and there's so much to it, a lot of energy. But it's flowing, and it looks beautiful because there's an openness for conversation and a recognizing and not trying to conform to like for instance, like, was I supposed to cry? Was I supposed to take a million pictures and post them on social? I didn't do any of that. Like
Right.
it's just how it was. But anyway, it's joyful, and everybody will have their own experience with it. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't feel emotional, and you probably had emotions too, but I didn't really know how it would flow, and I wasn't sure if it was like these stages of life if I was doing it correctly. And it's so funny because I'm like, well, what does that mean? because there's some programming out there that somebody had an experience, we have to conform. No, it's just, it is what it is.
Right.
So next up, they're bringing us to, and girl, they brought us to this last time. So I just must be seeing the essence of like all that you have to offer and your future choices. But it's like you working with others in sound space. So has that, since our last session, have you thought about that? Has it come up or is that just waiting for
Yeah.
future?
No, like right after the session, I signed up for a sound bath. So I did that for the very first time. And that was just so cool. Like I loved it. And I can see myself doing that for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I know I've been told now twice about that. Um, and before that, I was looking at them. Like I was going into stores and I would look at them and, you know, I would question myself, like, why do I need one of those? Like it
Yeah.
just didn't make sense at the time. So I got one for my last birthday. And then my
Oh,
birthday was yesterday. And so my husband got me a second one. So I'm slowly collecting. So,
nice.
yeah. So, no, I think that's beautiful because I love music, but I don't play an instrument and I can't sing. so, so this makes perfect sense.
Oh, that's so, I just love that. Makes me
Yeah.
smile. So, for our listeners, when you say you got one, was that a bowl that you got?
Yes. A crystal bowl. Yes.
Crystal bowl? Yeah, they're
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
powerful and gentle at the same time. Um, that's beautiful because as you started speaking, a message that came in was like piece by piece, and they showed little stones like gathering, which a bowl could represent an item. It was like I saw these little gemstones and you were gathering, putting together because they're telling me, it might be into the future before you fully work with others, but what I thoroughly enjoy is that frequency is there, that message is there, and you don't have to force it or push it. The timing is just going to flow beautifully. So that's another area. I mean, if you were to, like talking about how does it feel and what would others think of you? I mean, what if like tomorrow you're like, hey, I'm doing a sound bath for 20 people. Come and join. And your friends would be like, what? Like, who is this woman? What's a sound bath?
Right.
So it's a gentle flow into recreating this experience of life, an area that you're definitely going to be successful in. I keep seeing that because it's such a natural part of who you are. Um, but right now I'm hearing a rediscovery phase for you to flow into that. And as you work with the tools, the bowls, and any other sound instruments that come along, part of the aspect is not that you just have a bowl and you play it, yay, we're done, no. A whole sound bath is holding space, setting intention, infusing it with energy. There's a lot like you connect with the bowls and the frequency connects with the group, and you're channeling as you're working and you're guided. So that is going to be an aspect that would happen prior to offering your gifts to others. And it feels like you're on the edge of maybe starting, let's see, I'm asking like about 2 to 3 months from now, getting deeper within your own practice with the tools. So
Okay.
you'll start to feel it enhance. And also, I'm seeing a fairy energy, the elemental realm. Metatron's here in Archangel Ariel, and I see this fairy energy, and you'll be guided to what instruments to get next, what tools to get next. And it might not be anything that makes sense on paper, but you're going to
Okay.
hear it. You're like, oh, yep, that's the one. I need this, I need that. Or it's calling to me, and there it is.
Right.
So that's one area. This is interesting how our conversation's going. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So, because the next area they're showing me, I see a cat, and it's all about animals. Are you an animal
Oh,
lover? Do you have pet? Like,
we
there's
have
something?
a couple of dogs, but
Okay.
we used to have a couple of cats, but no longer have them because yeah. we had him for 18 years, but
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
a
I just see
cat,
that.
huh?
Uh-huh. I see that. So there's going to be something, I'll just let that play out for you. I see a cat. And so is it in physical? Is it in spirit? All of that will play out. But that's
Wow.
something that a little, I kind of want to call it a bonus, but it was a thread of light that I saw when we saw the five. It's a little bit thinner because it's very direct, like it's a cat. It's there's not too much at the beginning to understand about that, except for it doesn't mean it's a spirit frequency of like the cat realm, or is it a physical cat? But we'll just let that
Oh.
play out. Yeah.
Well, Aaron, my husband and I, we just were talking last night about our cat.
Okay.
I mean, really, literally, we were just talking about him because we had the one for 18 years. They were brother and sister. And we
Hmm.
were talking about both of them. And they've been gone for, gosh, about 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So it's really, I find that fascinating that you mentioned that. And we were just talking about them last night.
Yeah. Yeah. So there could definitely be a deeper message with that.
Okay.
Um, and I could only guess. They're not telling me the answer.
Okay.
So it would just be me guessing, which you could probably make the same guesses. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's fascinating. Um, the next thing up they're showing, and this is a big one, because I see a lot of energy at your solar plexus activating your gut, and it's like getting your strength and confidence and feeling assured of who you are and the choices. It's a lot of solar plexus. And this is how you reinvent yourself with relationships and what types of relationships, meaning what are you looking for in friendships moving forward? And that's a big one. Because, like, I have friends. I was just thinking today about friends from high school. We don't really talk that much. I've moved away and we have children and phases of life. We're in different stages. We don't have much in common anymore, but I still consider them friends and I still love them dearly, right? And all of this. So, it might be that some of your relationships will kind of fade in that regard to not so much in common anymore, but you still love them dearly. So then it's opening a space for new relationships. And I'm hearing quality of care again. It's so funny. That little phrase keeps flowing through. So the quality and the care and the concern and compassion and the conscious understanding within these new relationships, and what is that relationship about, because some of them are like friends that you're going to learn from. You're going to teach them and they're going to teach you. And in fact, I feel like there's going to be a lot of that, like a teacher friendship connection that is balanced for both. And then you might have other friends that really are just for joy. I just need to go have fun. Let's go do something fun. So that's a big thing. That this thread of light that I'm seeing is wide. It's so much more than the others. It's very important moving forward and how you show up and how you define who you are. And I'm getting an energy message because I'm feeling it. I'm trying to find the words. It's there's an aspect of clarity and being truthful. Just show up just how you are and just be truthful of your experiences, your emotions, where you are that day. And they don't want you to feel that you have to block, like okay, I'm hearing the word block and I'm seeing you put a guard up and feeling shame or doubt about yourself. So I have some friends that have really taught me that, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know anything about this. I'm not even going to pretend, like this is all new to me." And that's a perfect place to be, is to just be authentic. Um, and that will shock some people because they aren't used to that. So you're going to meet some acquaintances or people that could be friends that will just kind of shock them. Will kind of look at you like, whoa, wow, I'm used to people pretending that they know everything, or, fake it till you make it. But there's this aspect for you, at least within one relationship that I'm seeing with a female, where it's like, you're just going to show up authentically where you are and be like, this is all I know. And I'm flowing with it. We're seeing what transpires, what I can gain from the moment. And your guides are smiling really big and they're like, this is all you know as the human that you are from the experiences in this life. But you're going to be remembering and discovering because you already know it at the soul level. So, this
Like
approach.
like knowing who I am at a soul level, like, is that what?
Specifically, they're talking about, well, that too, but in like aspects that come in. But what they're talking about, I feel like you're going to meet somebody that will teach you something, like maybe an energy technique or a sound technique, or maybe you're going to go hiking, you're going to learn to scale the rocks. I mean, I don't know. It could be very exciting and adventurous, right? It could be anything. And you'll be like, oh, I've never done this before, just laying it out there. But then you start climbing those rocks, and you're like, whoa, how do I know? Like, it's just so it comes so natural. It's my favorite thing now. Or you play the bowls or a different instrument. You're like, whoa, this is just so natural. And so that transformation of that opening where you're then click in and you're like, whoa. And then you realize, okay, I've totally done this before in another life. I must have been amazing because it's just flowing through so perfectly. That kind of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because this person that I'm seeing specific to this message is going to be friendly, kind of like a friend, but more like a mentor or a guide in this life to teach and show you something. And then you're going to be very successful in it.
Oh,
So,
wow. Oh,
yeah,
great. That's
yeah.
beautiful. I love that.
I do too. Yeah. Okay. So the fifth place they're showing me is food. So diet, but not in the way of like, oh, I gotta go on a diet. Not like that. More joyful. Like, wow, what can I bring into my world and what kind of, dishes and, cultures do I want to pull recipes from and that kind of thing. So have you been feeling a vibe
Yeah,
about?
I'm like so happy that you said that because from a very young age I wanted to do nutrition because I love food, but I love plants
Mm,
and so I like to cook and I've been thinking about that. Like I want to start creating recipes and um, so I love that you just said that because it just connects everything.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I'm so happy. Well, they brought it through. I think we hit our five there. The
Yeah.
kitty was a little one, but so look at this, like so many different facets of your life that are in the future moving forward that are going to bring in all these different aspects and qualities of who you are and how people can look at you. Like, oh my gosh, Brittany's an amazing chef and a gardener. Da, 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 da. And your friend be like, what? You like to garden? Like whatever it might be. People from the past might not recognize that as who they knew you to be then. But
Right.
yeah, we're always, expanding and enhancing our experience. So these are five areas. And it's so funny that you just got the same message like, yesterday about your cat. You've been thinking about
Mhm.
gardening and rest. Like it's already percolating. It's already bubbling
Right.
within.
Yep.
So there's a lot and it's
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that is so cool. But yeah, I've always thought that I wanted to, well, recently I've been thinking I wanted to connect food and energy and chakras.
Mm,
Um, so
yes.
do something with that. So that's,
Ooh.
yeah.
How I
Yeah.
love that so much. I really do. And it reminds me of the elemental realm and your strong connection with earth and elemental, realm, like for
Yeah.
sure, because plants and food and nutrition, it's all about sustenance and the physical fuel, for the physical body. But then you bring in the energetic aspect of the chakras and the spiritual part. Oh, that's amazing. I
Yeah.
love it so much. Yeah.
Thank
Wow.
you.
You're
You know,
welcome.
I have to say I have my journal open here and I wrote this after the podcast or after we talked.
Okay.
And you just said what I wrote,
What?
basically. Yeah. So like it came up to me about how long ago was it? Maybe like 16, 17 years ago, we lived in California. And we lived there for like 3 years, and then we moved here to Colorado. And I had a friend call me the night before I left. And so I'll read what I said. I said, a friend called me on my last night to say a last goodbye. She said that she enjoyed getting to know me, and she believed people come into your life at different times to teach you something and to learn from one another. And she thanked me for what I had taught her. It was so profound that I never forgot that conversation. I love it because it takes the attachment out of relationships and allows you to see the lessons and the growth and the wonderful memories you had with that person that you may be growing apart from. It doesn't have to be about anger or hurt feelings.
Aw, that's so beautiful. I'm almost in tears, girl.
So I wrote that after, and it's basically what you just talked about. So,
Yeah. Aw, thank you for sharing.
yeah,
I'm just feeling the magic of that moment because there's such a beautiful truth to it. Everything, I mean, I can't even rephrase it because you worded it so perfectly. Like I'm at a loss for words. I just feel the emotion and it's so much love and it's that honoring of the relationship. Yeah.
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 But I
Wow.
thought it was just so profound. I never forgot that conversation. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
obviously, I was supposed to remember that.
absolutely. And one thing that I'll share that's coming to me is that we have these moments, and maybe you forgot about it for a while, but they always come back when it's like we're going through that again. So it's that wisdom. It's like, oh, I have that wisdom. I had that experience. It was a beautiful gift. And now you can hold and treasure that and feel into how that applies to this transition and what's happening for you now. I say now because it is, but there's more flow into you, girl, in the future, like the near future.
I'm sure.
So, yeah, yeah, it's so pretty. Um, how did everything else work for you? Do you have any other takeaways from, since our time on the first episode, your session? Anything else you'd like to share?
One of the things is at the beginning, you talked about the grandmother energy, and I never mentioned during the session that I lost both of my grandmothers before I was born.
Mm.
So, but I always had this very strong connection to them. Like, my parents they both talked about them all the time. My father lost her mom or lost his mom when he was like 16, and then my mom was like 26, so they were both very young.
Wow.
But yeah, so I've always felt that energy. It almost, when you mentioned that um, feeling of peace, and it was like a grandmother energy, I felt that, and it was like a remembrance of my life. Like I felt that off and on. Like I always
Mm.
knew they were with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Like, I'm really happy to have this follow up conversation because when I'm in the space of the energy session, I'm channeling, I'm like just letting it all flow through. We didn't really have that time to hear so much about, I mean, here and there, but not in depth about how it was affecting you or like what you were just sharing, that little bit of information. Because I didn't know, the audience didn't know. And for you, I mean, I could imagine how that would really resonate. It's like, yeah, they're here. You can feel that love. It's so beautiful in every way, and the reassurity and the message, the aspect that our loved ones are still around. They're definitely with us. There's no separation in a sense that when we leave the physical realm, they can still come around for love and support and guidance. So the relationship and that love it's eternal, it's everlasting. So how
That's
pretty.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And Through the integration process, I feel like it's still flowing a little bit. But how do you feel after, both conversations so far? How are you feeling about the future?
I'm excited about the future, to be honest. I feel more myself than I ever have been. Even if, it's a little scary and um, stepping forward and not knowing, I am very excited and I'm willing to do all the work and the healing that needs to take place to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do feel strongly that this is the path I'm supposed to take. And I feel like that's just a beautiful and exciting thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. When we talk about healing, there's so many different ways of healing. And as a clairvoyant, different things I can see. And so one thing that's coming through is a way of a healing that comes through an activation. And what that means is I can see more of your soul light being embodied in this body, in this realm, here as Brittany. And it pushes things to the surface. And that is the space for the healing. So, what I'm noticing is it's a more of you coming online, activation of your soul light, which will give you the strength, the determination, the confidence, the power to make those changes and implement and move forward. But then there's going to be those parts of the you who you are, and all of us, the we who we are in these moments, that honors the sacredness of life, all of our experiences that we've had, and sees who we were and gives ourselves like that pat on the back. Wow, you've come a long way. Oh my gosh, you're doing so much. It's so amazing. Um, and the healing comes in those moments of feeling the emotion. So what I'm seeing is all of this light of you come in, and then insecurities or sadness. Maybe there's something you didn't fully get to grieve, comes up. You feel it, you honor it, you thank it, you let go. And then as that fades and it clears, and you're going to start to feel stronger in who you are. So specific to what you were sharing when you said healing, I was seeing the dynamics and how it would play out, which is very different than like, oh, we need to go in and do psychic surgery, or like fix this vortex and realign. It's not like that. This is more like processing that will create the healing, and more of you coming into the physical body, like pulling in more of your light codes and your frequency is that catalyst that will spark the change. So it's so pretty. For you, they're showing different activities, the meditation, journaling. I see movement and dance. So playing music, movement and dance. Um, and then if you want to say, so that's kind of what starts it. And then I see like the sound bowls and sound bath, kind of like healing. That would smooth it all out. But the movement and dance is going to let you express and to feel and get the energy moving through. The same for the journaling. The meditation is the quiet place where messages can come in, but also you can share, have the conversations of what you like your future to be, or your concerns, or, questions with spirit, with your guides, in meditation. But also in meditation is when I see the activation of the light codes start to come in, and you breathe in, like, you're just breathing and pulling it in, embodying it. And then from that, they say when you are dancing, it can help you ground your frequency, and that movement lets it like come in and settle in. So it's beautiful. And those are some messages for you of ways to help with what you just said, healing and activation and expansion. So, and I kind of feel like I'm really spacey right now because there's so much energy. Probably if people are watching on YouTube, they might see me, I don't know, but my whole body is humming. Like I can feel all this
oh,
energy, and the message is so strong. So I think it's going to be very profound for you in those experiences. And they're talking about being present in the experience. They're like, yeah, somebody could turn the radio on and dance, dance, dance for an hour, or they can turn a song on and be very present and just feel that one song and just, really let that energy come in. It's all about the activation of the energy, and the more aware and present and the intention is going to help it come in a strong way. So there's something in that I'm like, okay, there's something in that message for you. That was just me channeling that in for you. And probably somebody else will feel like an aha moment or a message that
Wow.
was for them. Yeah.
That's really cool because I danced when I was a little girl up until high
Mm.
school, and it just kind of stopped. So, um, yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I love
Wow.
that.
Oh my gosh, I do too. I love it so much. I really do. And so it's just so beautiful. I can't believe how fast that time went. But
I know, I know.
yeah, oh my goodness, I love it that it's like flowing and there's so much energy around. So I would just invite like our listeners to take away any messages and write those, write it down if it's a message of an action item for them or an area of life to look into. And then just to take a minute and pause, after this episode ends and maybe go into a 15-minute journaling session and let the energy come in, accessing their light codes, their star frequency or soul resonating vibrations, and connecting in with whatever spirit means to them. Some I feel are going to connect in with angels and some more elemental realm, but there's an opening and a space and time right now for this quantum vibration to be felt and recognized, and it's really strong. So, hope everybody can enjoy that. And I just want to thank you so much for your time and for sharing with everybody and being on the Spirit and Soul Healing podcast. So, thank you so much, Brittany.
Thank you. This was amazing experience, and I so appreciate you. I give you so much of my love for everything you gave me. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're absolutely welcome. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in today to this episode of the Spirit and Soul Healing Podcast. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next one. Have a beautiful day, friends.